Well, I'm excited because it's 2026 and we decided to do something a little different. I know, right? But it's kind of fun. Just have some time together to talk about our goals, dreams, aspirations. You are my networking partner. Everybody knows that. Everybody sees how I value you and how important you are to me, and thinking about my community connections, thinking about what I want to do and aspire to in terms of my own entrepreneurship. And I think for 2026, we're going to do some different things. And I think today we're going to talk about maybe what our goals are, what our word of the year is, and what do you want to talk about?
I would love to talk about, well, first of all, you are my networking partner. I love, and it would be fun to tell the story at some point of
Yes.
how we met and aligned, and maybe in the context of, finding people who are the right people to bring into your circle of trust, and embracing those moments when they occur.
Yeah.
But I think for sure, our words of the year, our intentions, and our plans. But I'd also love to visit kind of where we've come from, what got us here, and what we're thinking about in terms of what will get us to where we want to be.
For sure. And why not on a bicentennial year, right? Like, this is a big year.
It is.
And so I'm excited for sure to start with my word of the year. This year is alignment. Last year it was accelerate. And for me, in terms of alignment, just thinking about streamlining my processes and practices and my time. And I know you have some good advice and good guidance around that in terms of like what gives your energy, what should we put our time and attention to. So alignment, what do I do with that? Help me help others thinking about alignment for the year.
So I think that probably ties into what you say yes to and what you say no to.
Yeah.
And I always think of you as being my guide in that. I remember at my 40th birthday, you were like, listen, Hala, welcome to the decade.
Yeah. Serious decade.
It's a serious decade. You will get comfortable with saying no to the things that aren't right for you. And you will get really confident about your yeses, right? And that sounds so simple on the surface, but there's a level of, I think, gut checking and intuition, right, that goes into it. And part of that is we now have, 20, 25, 30 years of working experience behind us that informs all of those decisions that it may seem like we're making on the fly now.
Right. That's true.
That they don't maybe take as much agonizing over what's the right answer as they used to.
Yeah. Well, it's faster for sure, the answers. I mean, and I think in terms of the work experience, it does give you guidance and the indication and the comfort in saying it. But I still, struggle sometimes with saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Even when I told you that good advice, because now I'm going into another decade and there's more to come, I hear. So I'll be your guide. But I think for me, well, you're welcome. I've got, you always have to have friends who are a little bit younger, a little bit older, again, building your village. But I think for me, in terms of alignment this year, I'm just, again, trying to really streamline. Last year was a big year when I said accelerate, because I was moving through the quarters of the year with goals around writing a book and getting it to launch and then getting it out there to all the different groups and stakeholders. And then, at the end of the year, I was a little tired. And I've been reflecting on that. 2025 was a big year, but now I'm like, okay, it's a time to align. And so, for you though, I think we just talked earlier this week, which we're still in the same week. There was snow earlier this week.
Sure enough, we are.
Yeah, but we talked about the fact that our words were flipped. So your word of the year.
My word of the year is accelerate.
Yeah.
And last year for our business, and even for me individually as a professional and a community member, there was a lot of streamlining of priorities, streamlining of process, beginning to suss out what was not serving us as well anymore, and spending our time and energy a little differently. And that looked like reassigning some roles within our organization, and realigning where we're spending time and energy.
So at the end of the year, when you look back, was that alignment for you in 2025 profitable? Were you able to measure outcomes that were good for you on the business side?
We were. So the cool thing is that when things come into alignment, there is an acceleration that occurs naturally. Right? And so we did experience a boost, and we grew our business pretty significantly last year, which is fantastic. And it gave us a little taste of what's possible, right? And so now it feels like, okay, you know, the engine is going, it's all warmed up, everything is aligned. Now we can take off. So for 2026, you're in acceleration mode. In acceleration mode.
That is really, really exciting. And so have you like mapped out the year? I know January is like always thought of as a time to kind of reset, time for renewal. It's a little more quiet.
Yeah, so interestingly, January is not that for us. It's generally a high production month, and this year has been no exception.
Wow, okay.
Which is great. And you know, we've been doing this for enough years now that we know that third and fourth quarter are actually where we start fleshing out our plans for the coming year. And obviously, there are always things that are going to change as things evolve. But we pretty well had things planned out for 2026 by the time we wrapped up 2025.
And it's going according to plan.
So far, so good.
We love that. So what are you sticking with? I mean, so community oriented wise, both of us are so, you know, community focused. Obviously very much work driven. I serve on several boards. I've got, you know, a wonderful job working with young people across the country. So I'm doing that. I'm, you know, promoting the book still. I've got plans right now to actually do an audible part, an audio book part of the book. So I'm working to see if I can get that done within the first 2 quarters. We'll see. First half of the year, it's busy. And so how is it looking for you?
So similarly busy, right? When we try to find, you know, moments to add other things in, that often saying yes to something new often means saying no to something else.
We have to talk about that.
We definitely have to talk about that. But I just have to say, I'm so excited for this second part of your authorship journey.
Well, thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Seeing all of that unfold, and it's great to have people in your corner who are saying, "Why not now, Keisha?"
Well, listen, we know I have been very public about how I have a team of supporters. You are without an exception, probably the president of the club in that way, because I didn't think I would be able to do what I was able to do in 2025, and now to think, you know, an audiobook, which would be delightful. And of course my editor is like, well, it has to be your voice. And I'm like, okay, where am I going to find more time? But the whole idea of, I want to say yes to that. So what do I say no to? How do you balance? And I know you and I talk about this weekly, like how our week is looking. What do we have to say yes to? What do we have to say no to? Like, you know, share, you know, your thoughts about that. How do we like navigate, and how do you navigate? Because you certainly help me.
Well, and you help me. And sometimes it's, you know, we're supporting each other as good friends, where we can share a little bit of the inside baseball details that we might not post on LinkedIn, for instance.
For sure.
Right? And vetting the decision-making process, right? There's this exciting new opportunity. You know, what should I do with it, right? I think you and I bring things like that to each other sometimes when we're not ready to talk about it necessarily in other forums yet. And the opposite is true too. I knew when I was making a difficult decision about a volunteer commitment a few years ago, where I was passionate about the cause, I'd been involved in the organization for a long time, but it was clear to me that it was time to move on, but it was so hard to make the decision to move on. And you and I talked about it quite a lot.
We did. We kind of did a little bit of strategic alignment to, well, if it's not you doing this, who else in your network could help support? I mean, that was a really big decision, but I think the outcome has been great because you've added other people to the organization.
For sure, and have found other ways to support and stay involved, which satisfies my selfish desire to stay involved with things that I care about and people that I care about.
Right.
And hopefully has also added value to the organization.
Yeah.
But it added value, freeing up that time and that energy, that brain space, gave me capacity back to spend that time growing our business and participating in other rooms that I didn't have the time or energy to be in before. And a lot of times when we talk about capacity, we're talking about physical energy, brain space, and actually time on the calendar.
Yeah.
Right.
Oftentimes, I mean, thinking about the time on the calendar, I mean, you and I often have several events per day and per week, and really navigating through so that we can be our best, most useful and authentic selves in those moments. And the brain space, time, and energy, we've been learning, I guess, the last few years how to manage some of that, because I think we average, 3 evenings a week out. And I know you and I talked in the beginning of, it was like 2023, 2024, like, should we be at 3 events per week in the evenings? Because we generally run 12 to 14-hour days but with all the other events, the other areas of business that we're a part of. I mean, I think, we're trying to manage some of that. And, I think about some of my board commitments. It's been really wonderful to volunteer, but when it's time to cycle off, it's okay to say it's time. And I've done my very best, just like you with your, organization. And so when I think about that, what are you, what is the checklist in your mind that you use? I know, like, for me, it's usually like, is this still giving me the energy? Or am I getting anxious as I'm getting ready to go, or to get on that virtual call, or like, what's your checklist look like?
My checklist looks very similar.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that as I progress in life and in career, the checklist really does become more about the feeling, in the sense that we as leaders, and as highly committed leaders, and committed to all of our causes, committed to the organizations that we are working so hard to build, and committed to our communities, we have to figure out how to balance. And so if I can't bring my best working self to the organization that I am, that I am scaling, right, to my business, to your business and company, I can't be doing all this out here if it's not supporting me and being, my best leadership self in my quote unquote day job.
In your day job, right?
Yeah. And so it really does become about, does it give me energy? Is it draining me? Is this taking an outsized amount of mental energy?
Yeah.
Compared to, like, does this light me up?
Yeah. And I think about that. So that checklist, I think, so we certainly share that. And then I think about, you and I talked about the rooms that we're in, and how it supports our business, and how it promotes and supports the people that we also want to promote and support. And so a lot of people I know come to you, they do come to me, where should I be? What should I be doing? And they're on all different kinds of journeys, whether they're, in transition, or they're looking for mentorship, they're looking for leadership opportunities. And then they're like, what rooms do I participate in? How did you figure out the rooms? Because for me, I will say, when I met you December 2021, I did not know, 90% of the organizations that I'm currently a part of in the area. And you introduced me to those organizations, and kind of you were my guide in terms of where the strategic introductions in those rooms would take place. So right now, like, how do we get people in the rooms? How do we give them the advice and guidance to make sure that they're in the places where they can make impact and also be able to, volunteer or be supported in some of the things that they're going through.
Yeah. I suspect that the first piece of that is creating the visibility, right? Like you can't participate in things that you don't know exist.
True.
Right. And so we see this tension with some of the organizations that we support, volunteer with, serve with, where there's this push-pull, this tension between organizations needing to find people to be active and engaged members and volunteers, and people who are looking for organizations to get involved with in a meaningful way, to build those long-term relationships, to bolster their skill sets, to create new connections, all of the reasons that you might want to join an organization.
Be a part of.
Yeah. And so that, for sure is probably the greatest tension that runs throughout that dynamic. Talking to other people, right? Like just start with the first conversation, start with the first, walk into a room.
Yeah.
Right? In very practical terms, I would offer that in the age of social media, there is no reason that you couldn't search for either via search engines or any number of social media platforms, right? If you're looking for professional organizations, hop on LinkedIn, type in some keywords about the things that you're interested in, right? Search those hashtags, figure out who you admire, who's doing work that you admire, who's doing work that you want to be doing. Follow them online, right? Maybe reach out to them if you see an opportunity to connect. I mean, we know people who are LinkedIn gurus. I think of you as being one of them, who have suggestions about how to build visibility with certain people. But I would say even beyond that, like figure out what are those people posting about.
The content that they're posting.
Because one of the ways that you and I have been able to invite other people into the rooms that we're in is that we have a tendency to post about
our experience.
Where we are, our experience, right? We were in such and such a place with such and such an organization. We learned this thing, that thing, and the other thing. And if this resonates with you, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to invite you to the next event. Right?
It's a good reminder. That is a good reminder.
Look for the people who are doing that. Right?
But you're right. I mean, you can search those professional organizations. I think some people I think most people, because I hear this often, are a bit shy about what's the first step to take and then what happens when I get there. And so this whole idea of those making connection moments, and I think you show up as yourself. I know I've advised a lot of people, like, you have your 2 things, 3 things that you want to talk about, but really make it the things that are really important that you value. And I think, I know that as I've moved through my 40s and I'm ending the 40s and heading into the big 50, I want to be a part of strong, positive missions that are really moving and improving the lives of others. And I also want to make really strong connections where people can be comfortable coming to me, seeking advice, seeking guidance, and I can be able to refer them to others. And so I think about the first 2 weeks here in 2026 where, the conversations I've had have been so powerful around intentional plans for the year. And I want to do more of that. I always say I'm an authentic connector because for me, I really want to put people in the right places, the right rooms. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I didn't know what those rooms are. And you were like, well, you have this goal, so you need to be here, and you had this goal, and so I think those are really important steps to take. But carving out more, I think, of that identity piece, and thinking, I think about what the word or what the goal for you is, and I think of them in smaller chunks, and so even before we were just talking. Thinking about things in quarters makes it a little bit easier, but it's still,
still a big bite.
Big bite, right? Yeah. Big bite. So what do you think at the end of the year when you forecast? What's the forecast looking for you this year?
at the end of 26, looking
Yeah.
back over this year? I mean, our goal is to double in size
Yeah.
in terms of production. We know that we have a busy events calendar filled with
Yes.
really like community engagement types of events, things that are very thoughtfully produced and curated that bring people who have a lot of synergy, and we expect will experience a lot of synergy with one another together. So that when we look back, one of the things that's most rewarding is to see those connections that we made and to hear from people the difference that maybe an introduction or an opportunity made to them. And part of why that's important to me is that those are the things that moved me along in my career. There were people, you know, who took me under their wing, sometimes for a season, sometimes for many years, and who still have me under their wings. And if they hadn't invited me into a room, sometimes before I was really ready or really qualified to be in that room, I wouldn't be able to be there inviting other people into those rooms today.
Yeah. So when you look back, this is a year of really thinking about those intentional, curated opportunities to accelerate your business, but also accelerate the connections and opportunities that when you bring people together. I love that.
To accelerate impact.
Impact, right? We're in a couple different groups that is one of the core mission and focus areas and focus words. And I know you're starting a few new organizations that are related, aligned with some of your personal passion and interests, which is really exciting in terms of the arts, which is exciting.
That is really, really exciting. So, you know, I come from an arts background, arts and humanities background, and I've also always been an entrepreneur. And I know I've told you the story about like subcontracting all of my neighborhood friends to help rake leaves when I was like 5 or 6 years old. My parents came out and were like, what is everybody doing? And we were like, well, figured if we all work together, right, we could finish this lawn, and then we move down the street to Mrs. So-and-so, and so on and so forth. And so I think even as a child, I was seeing like how people and systems and organizations could come together to create something bigger and more impactful together.
Long term.
Yeah.
I love that.
And like I do love that. Graders raking leaves, you know.
Well, I love that story because I think it is part of who you are. And, you know, the whole idea of your arts and humanities background and, connecting it to telecommunications and technology. I mean, I think it's fascinating, and I think it, makes you unique for sure. I think about, similarly, I've always, I always played school, and I was always like in charge, and I was always directing people and putting people together. And I think for me, this year when I look back, 2026, I want to be able to say, I've made some really key introductions in support areas. I'm mentoring quite a few young individuals, young adults who are, at the precipice of making those big career moves, and some who are stepping into some really great early talent opportunities. And I'm excited to see where they land. And so this year for me are big opportunities, I think, for them to work the book, so to speak, and figure out the fueling of their future, and also supporting some new opportunities, some new organizations that I think really could use a little energy or insight from some of my past experiences that I've had. And so that's kind of where, when I look back at 2026, where I think I'm going to be. And I'm going to work on resting a little bit too. So how are we going to like incorporate some of that rest and hydration? What routines have you started that we're going to continue? I have started strength training.
Yes.
And so that has been really exciting for me. I did not think I was as strong as I am. And so I do feel quite empowered by this new experience. I've been working out strength training specifically because, I love all the other endeavors, walking and Zumba, and I'm slowly embracing yoga very, very, very difficult for me. But the strength training is new. It's like a new layer. And it's become really important, and I think it's positioning me to feel a little bit more empowered. So that's something that I'm going to continue as well.
I love that you use the word empowered twice in the context of that, because it's so powerful, right? To discover that you already had this capability, and you just hadn't discovered it in this context yet.
No.
So cool.
It is cool. Thank you.
So cool.
Thank you. But thank you for the continuous support too. I've got a lot of folks like, yeah, good for you. So it's fun.
And it's so fun to evolve to reclaim some energy.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big physical energy, mental clarity are huge for
and I calendar it. Do you put your time in like it's a job, it's a committee, it's the committee of me.
Yes.
So you do that too.
So it is also on my calendar. It's protected time.
Yeah.
And I treat opportunities to reschedule it as thoughtfully as I would treat any other really important meeting that's coming up against another priority.
Mm-hmm. We have to prioritize ourselves for sure.
We do. So I rarely reschedule. But the functional integrated training, strength training has been a big part of returning to self, which is important. And then to circle back to the creative endeavors piece, it feels very much like a full circle moment to be able to use the progress that we've made in our business to invest in a huge art a huge
you just glow when
organization. I know so can we name it by name,
please? I think we should.
So
exciting.
We are so excited to sponsor the Philadelphia Museum of Art craft show for 2026. It is the 50th anniversary of this show. And it is the premier U.S. juried fine craft show. And real quickly, fine craft can look like metalsmithing, textiles, glass blowing, pottery, woodworking, and furniture making. So you have everything from wearable art like jewelry and handmade clothing or artist designed clothing, to huge pieces of furniture, to small sculptures that might be decorative, to functional objects. But these are some of the very best artists in the world that are
coming to Philadelphia,
coming into Philadelphia for a 3-day show, and then an opening party and award ceremony the evening before. It raises millions of dollars to support the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Beautiful.
And their programs, and it's actually run through the Women's Committee of the PMA. So there's that additional layer, right? I went to a women's art college in Philadelphia for my undergraduate studies, and so it's very much a full circle moment and an opportunity to invest in something that has been really special to us as an annual tradition in our family for
many years,
30 plus years, right? Since I was, a school
leading the entrepreneurial business of getting the leaves off of the lawns.
Absolutely. And then making small pieces of art and selling them to family and friends and my parents' coworkers. And so, but when I started going to the show and I saw that there were people who could make things, right? They could explore materials, they could explore process, they could connect with the people purchasing their work, collecting their work, and that the collectors got to make that. There's an exchange of energy that happens there that's really exciting. But to see that people could make a living doing that, and all the different ways that they make
careers that exist to support the artisans.
Because there might be a solo maker, but there also might be someone who runs a workshop with other artists, or there might be someone who owns a larger production company and they oversee the artistic direction and design, and they're also running an entire organization in order to produce and market and sell, right? Like it's so cool. It runs the full gamut of entrepreneurship, and
and you're a part of it
all day.
Yeah, you're a part of it this year, which is
really neat
on this wonderful occasion of the 50th anniversary, and so last year's alignment certainly put you into acceleration mode to be in the space, and that's going to be how like you end your year, which is also very, very exciting. I love that. And you've taught me so much and brought me along the journey, so I know so much more about, you know, art in a very different way than I was ever introduced, and I get to wear these beautiful designs from your artisan friends, and you know, my home is now decorated with these beautiful pieces. Hala is an extremely amazing gift giver, and I always say, like, I have to say, like, your whole name, like, Hala, you are like beautifully designed and decorated all the time with with what you wear, but also like really with what you give, which is really exciting. For me, I mean, when I think about also this year, I was just accepted into the Aspen Leadership Seminar Series. So the Aspen Leadership Institute, a dream of mine. I mean, I can't even tell you, probably since I started a leadership journey in education and nonprofit leadership. I had always seen these you know, men and women who had this experience, and they posted and shared, and you know, you would, you know, see some of the readings, and it's like you have to do your homework before you go. It's really, really cool. And so I was accepted. I received a really cool scholarship for social impact leadership. And then my organization is also supporting me in this endeavor. So, you know, going on behalf of NAF. So I'm really excited to see what I'm going to learn, who's going to be in the room. It's a little bit of a secret. And so I'll be spending some time in the spring in Aspen. And so I can't believe, I'm excited to see the views that I'll see, of course. Colorado is so beautiful. And what I'll learn and how I translate that into, again, how I share, how it helps me with my leadership, how it helps me with my mentorship, and my support of the organizations that I hope I continue to bring value to. I always think about how you fill your cup, and you know, the rooms and the spaces you want to be in. So I feel like I'm really excited this year for this, and it's perfect timing. You know, it's just always in alignment with my other goals, that sometimes these events and opportunities come up. I mean, it literally popped up in December, this opportunity around the scholarship. And I think I might have talked to you about it, because I was like, I think it's due December 30th. And you're like, well, then you've got to get to creating, you know? And I spent a few hours on the application, and I felt so good at the end making the submission. So that is where I'm heading. And so I'm thinking about all that I'll learn, all that I'll be able to share with you and others, and the rooms that will continue to, you know, be able to be a support and an advisor and guide to. So very excited about that.
I am thrilled for you that you were selected. I can't wait to hear all about your experiences. And you are so, one of the things that I admire so much about you is the way that you connect with people and connect them with what they are looking for, right? And you do it so seamlessly and with such grace. It's an incredible thing to watch.
That.
And I have no doubt that Aspen Institute will be no different.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm like, well, can I get the list yet? Like, I want to like connect with everybody, but they're like, wait. Yeah. But today, this morning, it was so lovely. One of my mentees connected with someone at a conference she just went to 2 weeks ago. And she's got a lovely job at one of our local community colleges as a career counselor. And so she was at this conference. She's like, Dr. Keisha, I did all the things that you said I should do. And I made like 6 new, you know, introductions and people who I've connected with. And one of the young women that she connected with, she shared about me, which I think is so delightful and thoughtful. But that young woman just messaged me on LinkedIn and was like, well, I was told you're someone to know. It's someone who gives great advice. It's like, oh, this is amazing. And so she's not in our region, but she certainly reached out, and certainly we're going to connect for a virtual coffee. But I thought that was really, really awesome. So I feel like those connections really matter. And, you know, and thank you for that. I try to be intentional about who you're setting people up to speak to connect to, who can be good guides and support as they're, again, in transition. And we're all in different transitions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're always moving through phases.
Yeah.
really quick point to quality introductions.
Yes.
I think one of the reasons that people are so receptive to your introductions is that they are always so thoughtful, right? They add value to all the parties involved. And once you have a reputation for really thoughtful introductions, it's amazing. The exceptions that people will make, or the time that people will make for you, or the people that you're bringing along with you.
Oh, that's very true. That's really I never thought about it that way, but yeah.
And so, side note to anybody who is hoping to find someone to take them under their right, like to be the beneficiary of an introduction like that, right? Look for people who are very intentional with their time and their energy. I think,
and not transactional.
Not transactional and not chaotic or sporadic.
Right. Chaotic or sporadic. We don't want that.
We don't want that.
There's because it feels a little bit of a hit and miss sometimes when it feels a little frenetic, a little chaotic, a little sporadic. And then, so consistency is key with everything, right? Like getting our water, getting our rest, getting our exercise, consistency. I think you and we try to do a really good job about being consistent. And that's why we have to say no to some things and yes to other things, because we want to be the best that we can be and be as consistent as possible.
For sure. How often do you say no and that's the end of the sentence, though?
No, I realized at 45 that no was a full sentence. Didn't know that before. 45, right? So I've been doing no is a full sentence for 4 years now, going into 5. I have said no more now than ever, and it is because of the things that we talked about. It is about that energy. It is about quality over quantity. And when you begin to dig a little deeper and you want to offer more, there have to be things that you say no to so that you can be and show up as your best self. And so I think when I first started networking, even now we're out maybe 3 nights a week, I would run from like this event to that event, and I had to slow down a bit to really think about the quality part. Part of what excites me and what still excites me is that there's some really great opportunities in our area, and there's some amazing people that you want to be in the room and support them. But what I also know is that they're the same people. If I say, can we do coffee and have a one-on-one, they would understand that more than me being in a room and not necessarily being 100%. And so I think when I think about the word of the year that I had the first time I thought about having a word of the year, I was trying to be very intentional with my time, and then you pick up the pace a bit. And now I think right now this year of alignment and refining is where I know that it's okay. No is a full sentence. There is another day. I can pick up the phone, I can send an email, text message, and create that that space that someone needs. And so I think that's the part, because I got to value my health, my happiness, my peace, and so that I can really continue to be very intentional about who I put together and how I'm showing up.
That is for sure. That is true.
That
is true. I had a developing C-suite leader reach out to me and ask for my opinion on a networking group that had come to their attention. And I said to them, my first advice would be research the person who is chairing the group. See who are your mutual contacts. What is their career experience? What's their community involvement? Is that a room that you're curious about being in? And not that anyone is, not that anything has ever beneath us or our energy, but to be intentional about where we go, what energy we spend, who we surround ourselves with. For where this person is in their development and trajectory, where I would see more value for them is to be around people who are in fact a little bit down the road from them, right? A few years ahead of them. hang out with the people that you want to be.
You aspire to be.
That you aspire to be, right? The people that, again, the people that you admire, the people who are doing the kind of work that you want to be doing someday, if not today.
Yeah.
Because there is always room to say yes to bringing others along, right?
Yeah.
And you and I, we spend a lot of time doing that, but we have to protect capacity to
do that. But I think the question is fair.
Yeah.
You know, someone asking you that because they've probably seen a couple different versions of you, your business, again, where you're going. And our rooms have changed over time. I mean, my rooms have changed over time, and projects that I'm leading now that I wouldn't have led 2-3 years ago. But I think that that's important to think about the people that you surround yourself with. And so I think about focused, high levels of thinking, quality products, quality outcomes. For me, I feel like the circle that I'm in, that's what I get, you know, from the folks that I'm around. And so, you know, you're part of that, you know that, and that to me is that's my focus area, because I like to have different types of conversations. And I feel like, you know, my friends will say, like, you know, you have such range, like, you know, you'll be over here, like, you know, I'll be picking daisies, and then I want to be looking at, you know, modern art, and I want to know all about it. And I think curiosity is helpful, you know, in that endeavor to want to learn more about lots of different things. But I think it's also me surrounding myself with people who help me grow, because it's mutually beneficial. And 2-3 steps ahead is probably appropriate.
Yes.
I think, especially someone who is a C-suite person or an aspiring C-suite person, you want to make sure that you're really thinking about people who have some different experiences. I think about you and all the things that I've learned from you over the past few years. I have a few friends who are in the nonprofit space and who are also in the education space, and they're like, you know, sometimes, Keisha, like, when you're talking, you don't sound like an educator. You don't sound like a nonprofit person. You sound like a business person. And I said, well, I think it's because I hang out with a lot of business people, perhaps. But I also think entrepreneurship and creativity and innovation, they're so aligned. And that's very exciting to me. So I've learned a lot from you. So it's very, very cool to be in your company as often as I get to be in your company. So thank you for that.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah. So I don't know. So what are we going to talk about next time? We have to think about some topics. Think about them. But I think we have a couple. I want to talk about the next time our analysis. We read a book, right?
Yeah.
10x is better than 2x. And we had a whole 3-hour dinner. We did. We had to move our table because somebody needed the table.
Yes, we did.
But I feel like the next time we should talk about a little bit about what we're implementing in that.
Yeah. And I think that's part of alignment and acceleration.
Absolutely.
Right, is realizing that what got us to where we are today won't get us where we want to be when we're hoping to arrive there.
Right.
Right, and really, it's bringing in entrepreneurial thinking, creative thinking, to how can we accelerate this? How can we align it better?
Yeah.
Rather than making incremental changes, which are important. And we can't deny the impact of incremental change.
Right.
Positive or negative.
Correct.
Right.
We learn from both.
But to make the big leaps, whether you're making a big leap in your business, your career, your educational path, right? You've got to do things differently.
10x. 10x.
So, and I think curiosity is one of the things that leads with that.
Yeah.
We may also talk about my dream of taking a sabbatical on a sheep farm.
So that's yours, okay?
I have a whole philosophy built around this now.
I just want the beautiful wool that you're going to do.
Yeah. That's the idea, is to end up with a beautiful sweater at the end.
Tapestry, right? Yes. I love that. Well, I think that's a really good place for us to kick off next, because I think we had really good nuggets, and it gave us some really thoughtful steps that we're going to implement. I think we're both a little nervous, but then the whole idea is that you've got to take a leap, and it is exciting. It is exciting. So I just also want to say congratulations on your newest award, which will be, you're beyond the glass ceiling, because I mean, that's who you are. and that's March 3rd, which is amazing. And so tell us about it.
Well, and this coming from a previous Beyond the Glass Ceiling Award winner. You were in the NAWBO South Jersey Hall of Fame.
It's a cool place to be.
You know, we feel very privileged that our company is going to join the esteemed ranks of Beyond the Glass Ceiling Award winners. But we are so honored to be recognized as Company of the Year.
For National Association of Women Business Owners, South Jersey, which is amazing. Amazing.
It is.
The room is going to be a delightful one. You know we've got
300 business leaders in attendance.
Elected officials. You know, I've been spreading the word. You know, spreading the good news.
Absolutely.
Which is really nice.
And
so
it's an amazing, for us, it's obviously a wonderful recognition. An ability to shine a light on not only our brand and how we help our clients and how we work with our referral partners, other businesses and actually throughout the U.S. We do a lot of work regionally, but we work nationally as well. But an opportunity to shine a light on our community partnerships. You know, which are so important to us. And like the success that we build in business is because of our community partnerships, but it's also in service of continuing to be able to invest in those. And that's why we're so excited about the art show.
The art, right? But I think, I mean, at the heart of it, you know, you and I, you know, if there were something right here, it would be like community impact, right? Like I think
for sure.
You know, that is where, like, that is truly where we thrive and really helps us do the things that, you know, we're committed to doing, but also, you know, the business that we are a part of that keeps us really centered and rooted. So I mean, more to come.
More to come. I can't wait.
Next up, we'll talk all the things that we got to huddle in early January during that quiet, like, I think you had one quiet evening, and I think I snagged it, and we had that amazing conversation. And so we can talk about that and all the other things that we're launching into.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be a really good year, an impactful year.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, through a slightly different lens, we're going to figure out how to make some magic happen.
Always. It's got to be magic. It's got to be magic. Anywhere you go, there's magic. So